All right, everyone, welcome back for another edition of the Southern Utah Hockey Report. I'm Gabe Goche. We got my buddy Tommy Rupp with us again. We have a special interview. Today we have Melissa Mossberg. Melissa was born and raised in Utah. She's passionate about hockey, has a burning desire for the sport. She grew up playing in Salt Lake, where she played her youth hockey on co-ed teams, and then her exceptional skills as a goaltender brought her to Colorado. She competed for the Colorado Girls Select U18 AAA program. Widely, she's regarded as one of the best goaltenders in Utah, and she also shares her expertise as a skills coach for the Rick Hines goalie school. Today, Melissa serves as the vice president of the girls hockey for the state of Utah. She helps grow and develop the sport for young female athletes. She's also a coach for the Lady Grizzlies hockey team, and further demonstrates her commitment to the game by continuing to coach. Outside of the rink, she channels her creativity as her own salon owner, specializing in hair and lash services, both of which I don't need. But awesome. Melissa, thank you for joining us. How are you doing? How was Christmas?
Good, really good. Yeah, I'm excited to
Fantastic.
be here.
No, thank you. And want to jump right into it because you have so much knowledge, but also so much information that we want to spread to our listeners and watchers. So for you being a goaltender, growing up in the state of Utah, just talk about how you got started in the game and how your career went to this point.
Yeah, so when I was about 4 or 5, my older brother, he had an assembly with the Utah Golden Eagles. And they, came into the school, brought all the gear in, and he went home and was like, Mom, I want to play hockey. So that's how we started. He would throw me out in the street with all of his buddies and strap pads on me and told me I had to stand there in the net. So yeah.
So you were like the little brother, but you were the little sister.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
gotcha.
So the whole neighborhood would come over and we would just, play street hockey. And then I started as a mite. I was about 5'6", and my team didn't have a goalie. So I started originally as a forward, but my team didn't have a goalie. So, I was the volunteer goalie, and everybody was like, whoa, she's actually kind of good at this. She's a little crazy. So let's keep her there. So that's how I started getting into goalie. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and I always, anytime that we do interviews, especially with people that are close to the Utah hockey sphere, my favorite question to ask them is, what is your first memory of Utah hockey? For example, I always had one of the old bubble rink in that UAHA used to play at, which is now the Kearns Olympic Oval. And if you could have seen it before it was the Oval, it's pretty much in the middle of nowhere, and you're getting dressed in trailers and putting on cold used equipment into the local charity bins there. So what is Melissa Mossberg's first Utah hockey memory?
So going back to the Golden Eagles, I was so obsessed with all the players. I was this little 6-year-old that was like, Mom, Dad, do you think they'll come to my birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese? And sure enough, there's a few of them that totally came. So going back, I'm going to throw some names out there. I had like Daryl Olson, Wayne Cowley,
Wow.
Rich Turnamaz. All those guys came to my 6th birthday party. And ever since then, I've just been in love with it. So I can thank them.
That is
That's right.
fantastic. I love it. I love it. And with like memories of hockey, and as you talked about being the younger sister and being really thrown in net, you're also one of the pioneers of goaltenders and also girl goaltenders in the sport. Now, before I get to my question, I also want to preface too is you've played with some very talented girls throughout your career, and one of which I played with is Angela Ruggiero. She grew up in Southern California with me. Her brother Billy was a goaltender. but Angela always played with the boys. And so for you, was that something you always had to do? And then was your first time playing on a girls team with Colorado Girls Select?
Yeah, so I grew up just all boys. Every once in a while we would have a girl on our team here and there, but once I made travel teams. I was the only girl. And then I went to a Rocky Mountain District camp and actually and that was like my first time playing with girls at all. I did really well at that camp, and all the girls were super nice. And that's when I very first met girls and introduced into girls hockey. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and you talk about kind of, I wouldn't even call it a barrier between like what we have in hockey versus what we have in other sports. Like it's one of those things that like hockey, you're either good or you're not. And that's kind of one of the things I love about it. But also if we're trying to create this youth movement of all girls hockey from all the way up to from mites to even, I mean, there's talks, I know a lot of like women's junior A league, and you've seen what the success the PWHL has had breaking off from the I think it's the PHF and the PWHPA. I always screw those ones up, but I think I got them right there. But when you're a little girl and you're playing that sport and you're dominating the way you are, and the reason I can say this, I know Melissa won't pat herself on the back, but I actually grew up playing against Melissa when she was in net, and by far one of the most difficult goalies to score on. Anytime she was in net, I was always like, all right, I got to bring like my extra A game. When you're a little girl doing that, what women did you look up to personally in your career?
Yeah, so looking back, there was definitely like Manon, and she was definitely the one that I was like, all right, I'm gonna be like her someday, you know. Cami Granado, some of these other females that played on like the USA Olympic team for sure. But I would say Manon was like my top favorite.
That's
Fantastic.
awesome.
Yeah, no, she definitely broke a barrier there. You know, when she first played for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and for a lot of our listeners, that's new information. And she played some NHL games with Tampa Bay, which was phenomenal. And like you said, Tommy, it's not really so much a barrier. I think it's just more awareness. And one thing, you know, Melissa, you and I talked about is how to start engaging more girls into the game. And so with you being on the board of Utah and the VP of girls hockey, what are your current like strategies, and what are you guys looking towards implementing into the state?
Yeah, so my biggest thing was communication and community. Growing up, I always felt like an outsider being the only girl, right? And I see it with my daughters now that, they go to school and they don't have much in common with their friends at school. So then they go to the ice rink and they are themselves. And so making that community of girls, making girls feel comfortable at the rink, that's one of my biggest goals. So, community first. I started the Utah Girls Hockey Instagram, and it's taken off within a couple of weeks. We have, a couple hundred followers and parents that come up to me at rinks and they're like, "Thank you so much. My girls feel seen." So, that's my biggest, like, number one is just to make sure girls feel comfortable, because if they feel comfortable, they're going to want to come back and play. So,
100%.
No,
yeah.
that's great. No, and you bring up a good point there. I think experience is the one thing that people disregard, and I don't think they intend to disregard experience. I think we are a generation run by information and analytics, right? Like obviously we're kind of the last generation that wrote in cursive but can still send a text message while not looking, kind of thing. Like it's we're a unique breed that way. And the thing that I always tell people, especially when they come up to us and they ask us about like Red Rock hockey or what sets your program apart, and the thing I like to tell them is we treat them like they're pros. I think if you go into it with that mentality and the kids feel important, they feel that recognition. I think that's what actually lights the flame and continues to keep the spark alive to want to further themselves into more challenges and more achievements and everything like that, What are some of the additional things from your perspective that maybe you're doing that could fit under that umbrella of treating them like pros? You bring up the Instagram account, they get to see themselves on social media, right? Things like that. But what are you doing to kind of create the culture behind it? Because it's the one thing that women's hockey has a lot more of than I think the men's sport does, is the culture. And I think it's a completely untapped resource as far as a market is concerned. And I think that's what's transitioning into the success that they have. So what are some of those things that you're doing that kind of makes it, I don't know, a little bit better than what someone may get on a traditional recreational sport?
Yeah, so I mean, this weekend I'm hosting an all girls clinic. I was like, hey, let's throw a holiday party together. Utah Hockey Club, will you sponsor us? You know, so they're coming in, they're helping pay for the ice. We're doing like a gift exchange, 19-year-olds all the way down to 6-year-olds. I'm like, okay, we're all girls. Let's get together. Let's hang out, you know? So things like that that probably haven't been done in the past. That's kind of my thing, is like, let's get together. You can play on whatever team throughout the state. I don't care. Let's go and skate and let's have fun together. So,
Nice.
yeah.
For sure. And with that too is going even further with USA Hockey, or even with the NHL team, with the Utah Hockey Club, and doing a try hockey for free for girls. You know,
Yeah.
and that's where one of the biggest things, and I see it, I've seen it with my daughter, you see it with your kids, is hockey right now hasn't had girl specific programming at a young age to engage the girls to the sport. And I feel that's the one thing, is programming by the executives needs to be better. And that's where I feel a try hockey for free for girls, or having girl specific programming at a young age, helps not only with their physical development, but it also helps with their mental development as well too. Would you agree, and kind of talk about that too, Melissa?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's the rare, girls that are totally fine playing, getting dressed in their own locker room. But then there's that group that's like the little sisters, or the other, girls that may have played if they could be on an all girls team. So it's just opening up more doors for different types of girls, different, like different options for everybody. Um, Growing up, I always had to get dressed in a boys or in a bathroom. I couldn't get dressed with the boys. And I think just there's so much more now with like mental, all the things that go into it, that it definitely, people are getting their eyes open about, hey, let's treat the girls just the same as the boys, or hey, let's have this opportunity just for the girls the exact same. So,
Yeah,
No, I
exactly.
love it. I love it. And you lead you lead me right into my next question. I think the number one thing that people talk about when you're talking about, girls sports this way or boys sports this way or anything like that, everyone always focuses on the differences instead of trying to realize what makes you the same. And I think hockey is such a community based program. It is like it takes a village. I mean, we all know where that quote comes from, everything like that. What are some of the things that you've seen, like personally on my end, like when I was growing up and you saw girls hockey, like the Camera Granados that you talked about, everything like that, even all the way up to, you look at someone like Hillary Knight, or you look at Philip Marie Poulin, or Marie Philip Poulin. I don't know. She'll kill me if I get that wrong, but that's all right. I deserve that one. But it's what are the major things that make it the same that people may not know about, or maybe they have an assumption about, that just kind of makes your teeth itch, or something that you're just like, how are you not seeing that this is blatantly the same sport with different players and involved at the same level? What are some of those things that you're probably seeing that you would love to just like dispel some of those things, or educate our listeners on?
for sure. So, I'll give you an example. I'll go out to a men's league game, right? I have my long pink hair, my eyelashes, you can see from a mile away, right? Guys will flop it in on me in warm-ups, like, who is this girl, right? And then they're like, oh, she can stop the puck, I'm gonna shoot the puck at her.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things, like, I'm a goalie. I don't care if I have pink hair, doesn't
Mhm.
matter if I have eyelashes, like, goalie's a goalie, stop the puck or not, right? So I think that's the biggest thing for me is like we're all on skates. It's the same thing. Yes, there's a difference at a certain point, right? Like boys can hit at 14U, girls can't.
Sure.
But I will tell you, we will go to tournaments out of state, Minnesota, Chicago, all of that. And the body contact is the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
So, and girls actually, they have to think differently. They have to play smarter. They have to play, it's a little bit of a different game in that concept, but at the end of the day, it's hockey. So boys or girls.
Love it.
It's awesome. And that leads into the Lady Grizz. And that's where in Utah, the Lady Grizzlies are all girls program. So talk a little bit about how that was formed, how you got involved, and then if girls are looking to get in, how can they?
Yeah, for sure. So Lady Grizz is a travel and tier program. Right now we have 10U. There's like 30 girls in the 10U program, which is awesome because that's the next gen.
100%.
We also have all the way up. We got a tier or a 19 AAA program this year, which yes, it all starts from the bottom up. You're not going to come in the first year and win nationals, right? But here's the thing, we're growing. We're starting to get on the map. People are like, oh, Utah has a team. Oh, they're at all these tournaments, the same tournaments we're at. Instead of sending my daughter from California to Michigan, maybe I'll send her to Utah. So we're definitely getting on the map with that. Lady Grizz is a great program. There's also lots of other travel programs in Utah, but Lady Grizz is the only tier program in Utah.
No, that's cool. That's really cool. And especially you mentioned the growth. I just think the game, and especially the women's game, is evolving at such a faster level than even the men's game is. Like I said, just the speed difference from when I was a kid and what I would watch in the like Olympic games to now watching the PWHL, where it's like, you better keep your head up. You're still gonna get girls chirping back at you. There's rivalries. There's the game within the game, kind of the unwritten rules of the game, and I love to see that because it creates a more competitive environment that more people want to be a part of, and I think that speaks to there's so much of these traditional markets that are so watered down, and Utah is kind of one of those diamonds in the rough that you're really like, hey, if we polish this up a little bit, it's an additional option. That's actually a great place to live. It's got a great environment. You're close travel wise to a lot of the top tiered programs, whether that's California, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Canada, even.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my question is actually more of a personal one for you, and it's something, again, I've watched you grow up, right? I've been around the rink with you. I've known you on a personal basis. Obviously, I know your family and everything like that. The number one thing that impresses me more about you than anything on earth is how happy you are to be yourself. There is truly one and only one Melissa Mossberg out there. And I think the reason that you're having the success that you are, especially in this role that you've taken on and all your previous success in your playing career, and now that you're transitioning into coaching and VP and board members and everything like that, I want you to talk about a little bit of your salon, because everyone who's involved in hockey, we only see them through that lens, but everybody has a story. And I actually think your two stories, the hockey story and the entrepreneurial story, there's a lot of crossover with that. You're a person that's going to roll up your sleeves and do it yourself because you know that you're going to do it better than anyone else. And I think that's what made you a really good hockey player. What are some of those things in your entrepreneurial world that you feel continues to fuel that fire, that no matter what, every single day I'm getting up, I'm going to give it 100%, and I'm going to do it with my own name on it? Speak about your salon a little bit, speak about yourself, and just kind of how you carry yourself as a businesswoman and how that correlates to how you help the community grow.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Tommy, for that. That was
yeah. A little tired up there.
So going back to when I moved outside of Utah, I moved at 15 to live with a billet family in Colorado. I had to grow up. I didn't have the family support at home. And I basically was like, here you go. You know, I didn't have good grades, so I couldn't get into school. I had lots of opportunities, and I mean, I made the men's team at the U and just didn't have the grades. So at that point, I had to, transition and be like, what do I want to do with my life? And I went to cosmetology school. And at that point, I was like, all right, if we're doing this, let's go. So got into cosmetology, opened my own business. Basically, right, like a year after I got my license, I formed a huge clientele. And basically, at that point, I was like, all right, can't do this on my own. Then decided to open a salon 2018, and made it through COVID, which was hard, but also that's a lot of grit to open a business. Um, at this point in my life, I'm like, there's no time to fill, right? Um, I got to pay for hockey for my kids, so got to cut hair. And now it's cool because most of my clientele is like little hockey boys or sisters or hockey moms, and it's so cool to be able to transition that part into the salon and get to see my friends, and also on top of that teach other girls how to build a business and be successful also. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is awesome. And with that, do you still find some time to throw the pads on and get out and play?
Yeah, I had meniscus ACL and MCL surgery 2 years ago,
Wow.
and that was a little rough, but I'm back. I sub a little bit, and I'm, sore for a week, but I'm good.
Right
But
on.
yeah, no, I even every once in a while, if my kids' teams don't have a goalie, I throw on the pads for them and make myself feel good for a minute.
Yeah. And your husband plays as well too, right? So
Yeah,
you are a hockey family. You and your husband and your kids.
yeah.
Um, how did you meet Pete and talk about his how you guys kind of came together with Hockey Minds?
Yeah, we actually met at a men's league game.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, he asked me out afterwards, and the rest
Did you
is
stop?
history.
Did you just stop him multiple times then, or like was he just fed up?
We both tell different stories. So I say he scored a bunch on me. He says that I MySpaced him. So,
Right on.
ages, but yeah.
So, so you guys came together, and then do you guys get into hockey, like coaching hockey together, or were you guys doing that as you met?
Yeah, so I was coaching, he was reffing. Then when we had our girls, we both kind of took a break for a little bit, and we actually said we didn't want them to play hockey. We tried dance and soccer and all the things, and then they honestly they love it, and I swear it's in their blood. So we said, well, if they're gonna play, they're gonna be good, and we're gonna be involved as much as we can. So
No, that's awesome. Well, and I can tell you that Pete's lying from his story because I haven't seen an online persona of Pete in my entire existence
right.
meeting him. So if you've got some MySpace photos from back in the day in the archive, we'll
That's
have to post
relics.
those in the show notes.
That
But
just tells us how old we are, right?
yeah, exactly. No, I got one more for you here. Number one, obviously, what you're doing is super cool. People know who you are. Everyone, if you talk to anybody in Utah hockey, everyone knows who Melissa Mossberg is, and I think that's so cool because your name is almost a brand, right? Like if you look at Melissa Mossberg throughout the years, like what you're getting, you're going to have a super fun time. The positivity is going to be contagious, everything like that, and the proof is in the pudding. What you're already doing in the short time that you've taken over with the UAHA program, and what you're doing for the women's game, obviously that's just going to continue to increase. But also, what is the best way to not only support Utah girls hockey? Are there like donations that you guys can accept, or what's the best way for someone to be able to support not only the women's hockey aspect of it, but also like go ahead and drop your name of your salon and everything? How can people help you on a business side of things? Because I'll tell you this: if someone's genuine in everything that they do, I would much rather support a local business and someone who really puts their stamp of approval on it, and you know what you're going to get. So how can people help out with Utah girls hockey in the form of donations or anything like that? And then also, how can they help you in your personal life as well?
For sure. So honestly, follow my Instagram. Can I drop that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, please.
Whatever you want.
I was gonna say that too. So do that again.
So Glam Master Mo.
Okay.
That has all the different links to everything I do. My salon. It has the salon Instagram, my Instagram, the Utah Girls Hockey Instagram. It has it all on there, and you can kind of see like my personal life. I go skiing, I play hockey. Like you don't see very many girls with bright pink hair doing hair, playing hockey as involved. So it's kind of original on there, I think. But yeah, donations, honestly, like this weekend, I'm making a swag bag for all the girls that are coming. And I got donations from local businesses. Like, how cool is it to show up to an ice rink, get a swag bag for little girls? Like, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Means
and drop the name of your salon too, and maybe where you're located at and everything like that. And I don't know, just anything they can do, whether it's hair or it sounds like you cut a pretty gnarly mullet for the boys as well. So if someone needs to get their flow in line, hey,
right?
There's no barrier there. We can get you all shaped up there. So what's the name of your salon, where you're located at?
Yeah, tell us more.
It's Addie and Ollie Salon. We're in Murray, about 5600 South and 9th East. And, we're home of the hockey mullet. So bring your kids, bring your moms, bring your friends. So
speaking of the hockey mullet and just all that, you should have the hockey mom haircut.
I should.
Just the standard hocky mom. So
yeah,
it's easy to travel with, low maintenance, So
I must be out of the loop since I've been bald for the last 5 years. So I'll have to get the Rogaine out. No free ads, but.
So no, this is great. This was great. No, thank you again, Melissa. One final thing. What advice would you give, or what inspiration would you give young girls playing hockey right now?
Honestly, just keep going. It's not going to happen overnight, and you just got to keep going. If something's hard, just do it again, and follow your dreams, because at some point life is going to be good and you'll look back and think, wow, that's pretty sweet what I did. So
awesome. I absolutely love it. Thank you very much again, Melissa. Tommy, thank you for having her join us. Your relationship as friends and growing up together helped this, and again, we want to promote you as much as possible, Melissa, not only for your creative background in hockey, but also your creative background in cosmetology and hair, and so this is why we're here, right? Is to promote hockey, to promote small businesses, and again, we appreciate your time on this holiday. So thank you again, Melissa Mossberg. Thank you, watchers and listeners, for this special interview. And again, don't forget to like the video, share the video, because the more we get out, the more girls we get on the ice, and more hair than Melissa can cut. Also, subscribe to the channel, and we'll post her Instagram. We'll post all those links in this as well, too. But thanks for watching the Southern Utah Hockey Report. I'm Gabe Goche, Tommy Rupp. Thank you for watching.
See all you girls out at the rink.